Hey folks, how you doing out there? Welcome to another Drinking a Wink info review. Welcome. And today, I didn't really have a plan to do a video today, but I did have a taste for a drink. Had a day that kind of required me to have one. It was an interesting day, and ended up I made a little purchase today of an old favorite, and we'll talk about that a little bit. And I figured we'd I'd make both have a little glass of it neat, and also pour myself a Manhattan using the same spirit. There you go. So I just made one here. This is kind of quick. Unfortunately, I bought we ran out of cherries, and I'm using this kind of not a great set of cherries here that I bought from Jewel, because Jewel didn't have anything really good. But the Manhattan will still be nice, and we'll talk about fun little whiskey. So what led me to this today? Very good. Well, today I was over visiting my dad in his temporary assisted living location, and we were watching having some fun watching the opening of the Barack Obama Presidential Center Library. That was fun. And that's up in the northwest suburbs. And then I made a quick drive over to Harper College, where I was doing some teaching. And then I had to pick up a few things for my mom. And there's a gas station out there that I've mentioned before, the Pride stores out there, the Pride store right next to Harper College, just west of it. And they have a nice little, small little whiskey collection. I know the Pride stores do some barrel selection and all that. You know, whoever's kind of doing their distributor, they have, so you can find a Pride store barrel pick. I know I bought the Jack Daniels, I forget what that is, barrel or reserve or whatever that thing is, about $50 Jack Daniels bottle. I don't know that I have it, because I think I brought it to my I think I finished one off, and I brought another one over to my dad's or my parents' house a while back. But we bought a barrel select from the Pride store a while back, and I was out there. So I went and got some gas. Then I went in and bought just a couple of things for my parents' house. And I drove back to my parents' house because I got trash duty tonight, and I realized I left my credit card, or my bank card, I should say, in the for the gas. So I called them up. They were very nice. Turns out somebody out there did turn my card in, and I had to drive back out there. So I drove back out there. So at that point, I needed a drink. Not that I was going to drink while I was driving, but I wanted to have something new. And lo and behold, behind the counter, they have some nice stuff in the front of the counter. They had the small bottle, this little 200 ml bottle of Journeyman's Distillery's Last Feather Rye. You see, I already had one here at home, but I just wanted to buy one, and it sounds great. So I bought it, and now I'm here. Let me tell you a little bit about Journeyman's, the Journeyman Distillery and Journeyman's Last Feather Rye. I know I've been talking about doing some more kind of American whiskeys, whether it be bourbon, rye, or the single malt whiskey, American single malts. And I've been kind of looking around and trying to find some. Just trying to get up to the 4th of July, doing some American stuff that I enjoy. For instance, I did pick up, my family was having a little gathering on Saturday. I did pick up this Stranahan's single malt whiskey, which I will talk about in a different video. But this is an American single malt done in a Solera finish. Great party whiskey, but we'll talk about that one again when I maybe I'm going to get another American whiskey or something like that and make a little project out of it. But for tonight, we're just going to talk about the good old Journeyman Distillery's Last Feather Rye. It's kind of funny that it fits in. Sorry, I'm trying to get my stuff organized here so you can see the different things. And also my tripod broke, so I have this kind of up on a very kind of discombobulated. I very much MacGyvered something to put my camera up here. Journeyman Distillery. It's always been a favorite for ours, especially with this Last Feather rye, because Michele, this is one of the first ryes that she really, really liked. She got into rye more before I did. I got into whiskey. She was a little bit into it, not as much as I became, but she was an early rye fan. Really before I became a rye fan. And right now, I would say that I enjoy rye more than American bourbons a lot of the time. I'm sorry, I got this up. Let me see if I can lower this a little bit. I don't need this on this thing. Anyway, that's better. Cool. All right. So, the Journeyman Distillery is also one of our favorites because there's one of these in these little outside Kentucky, outside of the West Coast Pennsylvania area that's doing some really good stuff, and we think that this Last Feather Rye is kind of one of their best. Although we haven't had a lot of their more recent newer things. I know they have an aged one out now. But in this little troika of Midwest non-Kentucky distilleries, which includes Whiskey Acres and DeKalb, which we love, and the Blaum Brothers, I think it's Galena, and unfortunately, the few in Evanston, and I say unfortunately because if you didn't notice, I did do a post in the last video. From what I understand, the few distillery in Evanston is going to close. The owners are going to keep the brand going, but I don't know, really understand how, because I know that the owners, or the ones that the founders did sell it off to a bigger company. I'm forgetting if it's Pernod. I forget which one it is. Anyway, unfortunately, they're going to be closing that shop up if it's not already closed, unless there's something changing. And the brand will remain, but it's not going to be an Evanston distillery anymore. It's very sad. And then we have this one in Three Oaks, Michigan, called Journeyman. We have not been to that visitors. We've threatened to go. We've tried to get organized, and maybe someday we'll do that. I know some of our friends and Drinking the Winkers have gone and have enjoyed it. But we have enjoyed their whiskey. We've had their bourbon. We've had this rye. I'm trying to think if we had anything else. I think we had a bottle of a different rye, or the one that was called Corsets and Whips. It's a very interesting company. Now I know, now they've got some age on them. I think they have a 7-year-old out. Maybe it's an 8-year-old, kind of countering with the one I'm pointing at right there, the Whiskey Acres, when they came out with their 7-year-old a couple of 4th of Julys ago. Cool thing, Twin Oaks, they have that visitor center. They do some really nice mash bills. They are not doing sourcing in terms of whiskey. I think they distill everything. And then most recently, I don't know how many years ago, within the last couple of years, they have moved and opened a second factory, as they call it, in Valparaiso, Indiana. So we've got the Three Oaks, Michigan, and the Indiana. Really cool that these non Kentucky or non-Tennessee distilleries are having success, and everything we have them we enjoy very much. They have a couple of different ryes out. The Last Feather Rye is the one that we've liked the best. The name Last Feather comes from some kind of story that I think the story is still on the large bottle, or the 750 of this bottle. It had something to do with, it might have been few, I don't know. They had some naming about their rye here that was closed, and there was something about they were threatened to be sued if they didn't change the name, if I remember, with the last feather of their life or something. You can look up the lore on this one, but that's where they got the Last Feather Rye. In terms of specs on this rye, and like I said, we've had many bottles of this. We don't always buy it in the 200 milliliter. We've bought the proper 750. But what's kind of funny is now that we have more whiskey, we don't drink this one so much. So now anytime I'm out and I see the 200 milliliter, I'll buy it. And like I say, right now we have two. In terms of color, now this one is more full. This one does look a little darker. But again, this is a half full bottle. This one is an unopened bottle. They do this nice little thing on the top Very cool. This is a 45 percent ABV or a 90 proof handmade organic rye. What I think is interesting, and I find it interesting partially because it's interesting that Michele likes this one so much. This used to be one of her favorites and the one she would ask for if they had it at the bar. Now things have changed a little bit, but she still enjoys this one. What's interesting about this one is the mash bill. It's organic, first off, and from what I understand, they source their rye, not the rye spirit, but the actual grain from Minnesota, and they're using a 60-40 mix on this rye. And you're like, wait a minute, that doesn't sound that... Scorzas, Michele and Darren, you usually like something with a higher rye content. Yes, we usually do prefer ones that are super big and high in the rye content. But what's interesting about this one is this is a 60% rye, 40% wheat. So this is a wheated rye, if you will. And you will because you're listening to me, right? The wheated rye gives us a very distinct profile, and I am a big fan, or I'm a fan of wheated bourbons, although that has changed a little bit. I used to be gaga over Weller's and Maker's Mark and Old Elk. We bought their wheated one a while back. That bottle is just about to be done if it's not already finished. I can't even remember right now. I've kind of gotten off of that a little bit more, and I like actually kind of high rye bourbons. I'm really big into the rye profile of the spicier, grassier, earthier feel that offsets the corn in bourbon. I'm an outlier on that. I know some of you really love your bourbons just like corn with a little bit of extra. I've also heard that perhaps the mash bill is listed a little bit not quite correct, in that there is a 5% malted barley element in here, which would offset those numbers a little bit. But for all intents and purposes, there is no corn in, well, not for all intents and purposes, yes, fact, there is no corn in Journeyman Distillery's rye. It's a wheated rye. And what's interesting is, again, I'm always trying to nail this thing. So I'm having a Manhattan right now. I do my Manhattans. I might be wrong. Please don't correct me on that. I don't claim to be a brilliant mixologist, but I go kind of high end on the vermouth. I like Coquille Storico Vermouth di Torino. My last name is Scorza, and that pronunciation is horrible, but Coquille Storico Vermouth de Torico. Who knows? Anyway, this is a very pungent, sweet vermouth that we do like. It's a little pricier. What I notice about that is it's very pungent. So unlike, I'm not a big fan of super. The only place I show any manner of restraint is in sweet spirits. I don't really like them. I don't like flavored whiskeys. Everywhere else, I eat sweets with reckless abandon, and it shows. I'm working on it. But when we're mixing the cocktails, finding your vermouth that it's either a sweet vermouth that is just somewhat sweet and has a kind of a winey vibe, like maybe Dolan's sweet vermouth is, mild. It's obviously sweet, but it doesn't have a pungent kind of dark fruit vibe. It just has a pleasant, slightly fruity vibe. This one is a super fruity, robust, kind of old, darker fruit flavor, very much in the pungent red wine flavor. And like I said, it's going to be $3, $4, $5 more in the price than other vermouths, sweet vermouths. I've used Coquille when I want something real pungent. I've used Dolan when I want something a little more mellow. I haven't found too many other sweet vermouths that I really dig. Anything else is kind of too cheap and taste it, and others taste too very much red wine, and that was a tannic thing. The other thing about it is a little note. I'm not a big wine fan, not because I don't enjoy wines, not because I don't enjoy the snobbery of wine. When it comes to red wines specifically, I get a headache about after a half a glass, whereas whiskeys and spirits of high proof I can drink and not really feel any kind of headache thing on it. I can drink this cocktail all night. I'm only going to have one and a little bit of the, just have it neat, and I'll be fine. But red wines get to me really quick. Anyway, where was I? When I'm making this Manhattan, the wheat element in this, and you can definitely, on the neat taste, and I will give you a taste, or my tasting notes. On the nose, you're going to tell it's rye, but the wheat, I don't have a really super great glass. I have my Starbucks, fancy Starbucks shot glass. I love these glasses. There you go. On the nose, you can tell it's a rye, but the wheat throws you off a little bit. You might be confused into thinking that this is just a 4-grain whiskey. The nose is, I'm not meaning it in a bad way, but it's interesting. It's not right away telling me, yes, it's a great rye. It's a rye. It's a high rye. It's got something else there. Rye notes, a little bit of a nuttiness note, but there is a, I don't want to be so on the nose, on the nose, that I'm saying I'm smelling wheat. What I'm smelling is the wheat is giving it a little bit of a yeasty note that I don't normally get with rye, and I like it. Great. On the taste, neat. Plenty of rye flavors, but the wheat does come through in that we're getting those rye spices, but the wheat is counteracting it with something softer, a little creamier mouthfeel than the rye has. It's a really nice blend of it of grains here. It's very solid. On the cocktail, and again, my Manhattan, I change it up a little bit, so maybe it's not a Manhattan. Maybe it's a Norwich. We'll call this a Norwich because I'm from Norwich, Illinois. We're going to use, and there used to be that was a big Italian enclave. Now it's kind of changed a little bit more Polish and Italian, and that's what I am. A little Slovak in there too. I use the Koki vermouth. I use the straight up normal Angostura bitters. I will add a little element of the Regan orange bitters. I love that one to add to this. I can taste it. I just add a couple of one dash of the Regan. It changes the profile of this drink. For a rye Manhattan, you can do a lot worse than using Last Feather Rye for a Journeyman. And I'm not really a big fan of using 45 proof, meaning that this is not a cheap bourbon. I mean, cheap rye. It is not a super expensive. I think right now would have to check the price. I should actually check the price. The 750 bottle is something in the $45 to $50 range. Completely appropriate. Okay, if you have a different feeling about how much whiskey should cost, well, that's on you. They charge really nice, really in line price. Both Whiskey Acres up here, I don't even have to look back there. I just know where it's at. Well, okay, now that I notice, and Journeyman, both they price their stuff really, really nicely, even though they've both gotten popular in terms of the ratings. One more note: check out some of the Journeyman's other stuff. I've had the bourbon. It's a good bourbon. It's not quite as I'm going to say nothing wrong with it. It's not exemplary in any way or different in any way that I would say you must go get it. if you're going to get something from Journeyman, you would be best served, so to speak, to heed my advice and check out the Last Feather Rye. Uh, they also had we never owned this, but we did taste it once. I think at a tasting, or maybe at a independent whiskey. I can't remember where we did, but they did a nice little project, oddly with the Field Museum, even though they're Michigan distillery, the Field Museum here, and uh, they did some kind of series for the Field Museum that included a gin and a rye, and we did get the taste of the rye at some. I cannot remember. I know Michele and I did that. Maybe it was, I don't know. Also remember just it being good. I don't know that it's available anymore, but you may be able to find that. Check it out. I can wholeheartedly say that as an American distillery, and like I said, a good day for America today, because the current president wasn't quite so much in the forefront. That's as political as I'm going to get today. But it is really nice to see all our other former living presidents act with some manner of just not BS. And yeah, come on, all right, UFC, brutal. It's great. I love it. UFC fights on the front lawn of the White House. The reflecting pond in front of the Lincoln Memorial, looking like the dead marshes. We did great. You're crushing it. Anyway, now I'm eating this cherry. You want to find an American company, not focused in Kentucky. Nothing against Kentucky, just saying a little bit different from the norm, making some great products. Most of them are all organic. Maybe they're all organic. It's a couple that run this whole company, Journeyman. We're going to check it out when we finally get a chance to break, when we get a chance to get away. Journeyman Distillery's on our list. I know, again, like I said, some of the drinking winkers have been there. Say it's a nice experience. They've expanded now. Congrats on them. I'm going to try more of their products, but if you need to start off, I can say that the Last Feather Rye, all organic, 45%. Rye is a great place to start with the Journeyman. In the future, we're going to stay in the United States with some cool whiskeys. I am going to bring you some reviews on this Stranahan's Blue Peak. Signs point to, if you're a complex whiskey fan that is used to complex single malt Scotch whiskeys, this might not be for you. If you're in for something that's not going to offend at a party, you want to have a little bit of interest with the Solera finish, this Stranahan's Blue Peak might be a value purchase. So check it out. We'll bring that video to you. But I kind of want to pull the American thing in, at least before the 4th of July, with a little bit of cohesiveness. And like I say, I might need to get my hands on one more bottle of something interesting. Like I said, I have a McCarthy single malt Scotch whiskey. I have the Stranahan's now. Maybe I'll check out something a little more interesting from Stranahan's or another different company. To wrap it up, if you have been experiencing and experimenting, that's not a word, but go with it. It's been a long day, folks. If you have been checking out anything in the American single malt Scotch whiskey area, please let me know what you've tried. Like I said, I kind of get everyone's handle to a certain degree on bourbons and ryes and even 4 grains or anything like that, corn whiskey. But like I said, I don't know if no one else in this group has tried American single malt Scotch whiskey. It's going to be interesting. So far, I have a limited a touch. I can't remember the other company that we've tried, but what we've tried we liked. If they're trying to be single malt Scotch whiskey, they're not doing it. But if they're trying to create something new and use those kind of for lack of a better term, actually, in the current times, IP, okay, meaning like they're trying to use all the knowledge that you would get from the Scotch distilleries and or distillers, sorry, and trying to apply it to American single malt Scotch whiskey. Good on them. I own a McCarthy's. I own the Stranahan's now. We've had another one that I can't remember, something with the name Courage in it. The Dean of the Alcatians gave me a bottle of that, small bottle, taster bottle. And we enjoyed that too. Let me know. Let me wrap it up. If you have been trying the new, kind of semi-new American single malt Scotch whiskeys, if you've had anything that you tried and enjoyed, please let us know. All right, and we'll kind of pull it together. All right, there you go. That's about it. Although I got to finish this cocktail. This is really tasty. If you want to get away from that corn overly sweet flavor for a Manhattan, right there. Last Feather Rye, Journeyman. I'm singing right now is the opening song to the live recording of the Journeyman, and that would be Johnny Cash and Willie Nelson and Merle Haggard and who did I